Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I'm really excited to introduce a lovely lady that I've recently met. Her name is Dr. D for Danita. Welcome, Dr. D.
Thank you, Miss Lyn, Queen of Hearts. I like that.
Thank you so much. And I've invited Danita onto the show today because we're going to be talking about how to connect and have intimacy in your relationships. And this doesn't necessarily just mean your intimate or romantic relationships. This can do just as easily for any relationships where you'd like to feel more connection and more intimacy. So just tell us a little bit, Dr. D, about your own journey towards doing what you're doing now, so the audience could get a feel about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So I've been in the mental health field for almost about 20 years. I started my own private practice a little over 4 years ago, Assert Yourself Mindset Coaching and Counseling, and just really passionate about helping people in the mental health field for multiple reasons. I'm just really good at it. But my personal connection with that is I've gone through my own struggles with relationship, my own struggles with past trauma, childhood trauma, sexual trauma, and all those good things. And like you said, your show is about connecting and intimacy. And the problem with the relationships that I had was being able to find ways to connect with individuals. And so in my journey through studies and education and all that, I was able to do my own personal development and learn things to be able to improve my own relationships. And first and foremost, the relationship with myself.
Yeah, I think that's the one most important thing I think I learned on my journey. It's not about really looking outside of yourself to start with. It is about, first and foremost, recognizing what sort of relationship do you have with yourself? You know, what's the dialogue that's going on in your head? What are you thinking? What are you speaking? What are you behaving on the back of those thoughts and words that's impacting how you're living your life, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I call it the board meeting in your head. Yeah. And for years, my board meeting it was one of those boring corporate meetings that you could just you feel like you could just choke yourself in. I didn't say nice things about myself. I didn't say nice things about the way that I looked, just even simple tasks in day-to-day life, just constantly saying things that if I would never say to a friend, you know what I mean? And so improving that board meeting in your head is the first step to being able to improve a relationship with anyone else, because once you feel better, you build that self-esteem or self-worth, then you can have the confidence to interact with other people. And most people get self-confidence and self-worth mixed up. They think it's the same, So to understand the difference is self-confidence means I feel good about what it is that I can do. But self-worth is I feel good about who I am.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. And quite often, I don't think we sometimes realize, that we're beating up on ourselves in our head with our own self-talk, do we?
No, many people don't, when they come to therapy, sometimes they have a little bit of insight on that, but from day to day in the moment, no, most people don't. They don't realize that before they go and interact with someone, that they're already telling themselves that it's not going to work out. They're already telling themselves that they're going to be misunderstood. They're already telling themselves that they're not going to be able to connect. It's just a constant negative beliefs that lead to lack of connection, lack of intimacy.
Yeah, I think I can raise my hand, and I was quite often beating myself up about my own body image, always saying, oh, I'm not slim enough, I'm not attractive enough because I'm overweight, and this man isn't going to find me attractive because of my size. And I hadn't realized I was doing that for quite a number of years until I started my own personal development journey.
Yeah, well, one of the challenges with that is now that we have these platforms, social media, and all these other things, people were comparing themselves before, but even more so, like exponentially. And so now you have this board meeting in your head going on, and you're looking on social media and you're seeing all these images of people, not you personally, you the audience, right? You're seeing all these things, and so then you repeat those messages to yourself because you're lining yourself up with other people. But once you develop the mindset that it's only you against you, everyone has an appetite. Not everyone likes a super slim person. Not everyone likes a plump person. If it doesn't matter, there's someone out there for you. But if you don't even like you, then you're going to attract other people that aren't going to love and like on you the way that you really want.
Yeah, I think it's so true that we attract who we are, don't we? So, quite often if you're sort of saying to yourself that, you're not worthy, you're not enough, and you'll never be loved, then you'll attract somebody that will reinforce exactly those words.
Yeah, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough. And the question I'll ask my clients is, what is enough? What does that mean? Our language is indicative of our thinking process, which ultimately results in how we feel, and what is enough? What is enough? That's the question I would just say, what is enough? No, I don't know. What's enough? Like, further that conversation with yourself, is it enough that today I might not be feeling my best? Is it enough that I'm still going through the day? Is it enough that I'm getting out there interacting with people and learning to develop my skills? Or do I have to do more? And most people think they have to do more and do more and do more and do more. And they have this never ending finish line. As soon as they get here, they've already raised the bar because they haven't even enjoyed the moment when they've achieved whatever it is they achieved. Just being able to say an affirmation, right? Someone says, well, I said this affirmation, but I need to do this, but I'm not, so changing the mindset is the key, because it's just really how you see your perspective on yourself.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the word affirmation there, and there might be some members of the audience that might know or might not know what the word affirmation means. So would you be able to give us some examples of what you mean by that?
Sure. So if you said, are you Dr. Danita Morales Ramos? I affirm, I confirm that's who I am. So when you're saying an affirmation, you're talking to yourself, you're talking to that spirit, or that, it doesn't matter what your belief system is, that inner child. There's so many different names for it, but who you are at your core. So if you're saying, I'm not good enough, what you're doing is affirming to yourself, I'm not good enough. But if you change that and you say, I'm good enough, I'm loved, I'm lovable, you're affirming yourself.
And I think it's important to say that sometimes that can be difficult. If you've been used to living a whole lifetime of being negative and saying negative words to yourself and having those negative affirmations about who you are and what you are, sometimes it can sound false when you try and turn that around, can't it? But I think the trick is probably to be more generic to start with, so you can say something about yourself that you do actually really believe.
Yeah, so I agree. What the challenge is we like instant gratification. So if I say I'm good enough, all of a sudden the person says, well, they told me to say affirmations, and so now instantaneously I'm supposed to be, flying on unicorns. But the actual concept behind that is autosuggestion. You are talking to your subconscious. So the more you repeat these things, instead of that negative board meeting, like just adjourn from that negative board meeting and catch yourself in the moment. It's not like I've I've never, and it's not like I still don't find myself sometimes in that negative pattern, but I have more self-awareness that, especially when I'm starting to feel a little irritable or distressed, then I start saying, what am I saying to myself right now? Right. And then once I start recognizing that, then I can start affirming, no, I can handle this. It's difficult and I can handle it. So it's not an instant thing, but when people say affirmation, everyone's looking for the quick fix. There is no quick fix to life.
No, and I think it's important to stress that, that this journey, once you start the self-help journey, is a lifelong self-help journey. But there's certain things that you can do that sort of obviously going to help you within the instant gratification window, so to speak. But it's a case of being consistent with that, isn't it?
Yeah. And like affirmations, mindfulness, meditation, all these concepts are about being focused on the present, right? Oftentimes, so if you and I both, said post recording here that we've experienced our own past trauma, right? So that depression, that negative beliefs is usually oftentimes for some people rooted in those past things. And to be able to bring yourself to the present moment. Well, what that means is, it doesn't mean that, take gratitude, for example. You say, I'm practicing gratitude. And people say, it didn't work. I said, well, what are you grateful for? I was grateful for my house. I was grateful for my car. But were you really grateful for that in that moment? No, not really. Then that's why it didn't work. So like in this moment, if I was distressed, for example, and I wouldn't start talking about me being grateful for my house. I might say something along the lines that I'm grateful for acknowledging my feelings of sadness. I'm grateful that I'm acknowledging, or I don't have my tea here, but I usually say, like, I'm grateful for this cup of tea this morning, right? It's really being in the moment. I'm grateful for the conflict. Some people don't even think that can help. Because conflict actually helps, if we work through it, helps us to become more connected and have more intimacy with others. So it is a practice. It's a lifelong practice. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to develop a new habit, 9 months to a year to develop a lifestyle change. So if you've been talking to yourself this for all your life, you can't expect it to happen overnight. But give yourself a month and a half of practicing 1 or 2 new affirmations. You'll see the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not about also listening to this and thinking, oh my God, I've been doing this to myself and this is why I've attracted, some shitty experiences in my life. This is about creating awareness, isn't it? And it's a case of acknowledging we don't know what we don't know until we do, isn't it?
I agree. And anyone that has the mindset, like if the first thing you heard while we're sharing this is like, oh, I did this to me, like you didn't cause your abuser to do was what? That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility now to care for your quality of life in the now.
Absolutely. And it's about, recognizing that we have that power, and not giving it away to somebody or something else, isn't it?
Oh, I love that you said that. When I'm helping people to work through trauma, especially ones that they say, I'm holding on to past trauma and I'm unpacking my trauma. I say, how long are you going to pay for a crime that you didn't commit?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that by not living your best life, you're allowing that perpetrator or that person that hurt you to continue to have that power to affect your life and impact your life in a negative way, aren't you?
Yeah, one of the most pivotal things in my journey at the age of 26, after I tried to take my own life, was my first time going to a therapist. And, us therapists go through these little questionnaires and they get to the sexual trauma part or past abuse. And she asked me the question and I said, oh yeah, something happened to me, but I'm over that now. And I kept trying to mull over it because I didn't have the awareness at the time. But this therapist kept asking me questions. I was getting frustrated with her. And what I found through that process is that she gave me permission to have my voice back. My voice that was taken so many years ago, if you will, after my trauma. Like I didn't speak well of myself. I didn't speak up for myself or what have you. And so part of this journey is to reclaim your voice, to reclaim the things that you want in life. That's what quality of life is all about.
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely, 100% agree. And it's, important to stress that you can start today to change things. You don't need to ever think that anything was your fault. But like you said, it's now your responsibility to change your life if you've been unhappy with it, so that you can live your best, happiest, most fulfilling life, isn't it?
Yeah. And starting today, also keeping in mind that don't compare your journey to someone else. I said at the age of 26, I'm 46 years old. So I've been on this journey for 20 years. You listen to anything that I say, you can't expect, it's unrealistic. Let me put it that way, to expect that the skills that I've learned in 20 years to be able to do, to have the same effect and the same results in your life with a couple of affirmations. Like, be patient with yourself. You're worth it.
Yeah. And I think the more you practice sort of catching when you're going down that rabbit hole of beating up on yourself with your own words and thoughts and your self-talk, is, you get quicker at catching it, don't you? And thinking, actually, I don't want to be thinking that anymore. I want to focus on this instead. And you get quicker and better at doing that the more you practice it, don't you?
Oh, my thing when I catch myself is stop that shit, D. That's what I say to myself. I will be saying something. Okay, I say stop that shit. Have your own, like, this can be as personal as you want. It does not need to sound like textbook. Like if I said to myself, now is the time to say your positive affirmations, I'm not gonna believe myself because I don't talk like that. I talk to myself the same way I talk to everybody else. And I said, D, stop that shit. Like, we're not doing this today, is what I tell myself, So be real with yourself. That's how you can be real with other people. Once you start being real with yourself, if you're in a shitty mood, say I'm in a shitty mood, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. And the thing is, allow yourself to have those moments of being temporarily shitty, but know that you don't have to live there permanently.
Right. But it's not just knowing that you don't have to be, it's also acknowledging it. The challenge with many people to shift is they want to hurry up with the uncomfortable feelings and ignore them, and they stay and stick longer. So if I'm in a shitty mood, I'm going to acknowledge to myself that I'm in a shitty mood, because you can't address a problem that you don't acknowledge that you have. So if I say I'm not in a shitty mood and I'm doing just fine, I'm going to just walk around irritable as I don't know what, because I'm not acknowledging. But once I acknowledge it to myself, then I can make the choice. Do I want to stay stuck in that shitty mood, or do I want to make a shift?
Yeah, absolutely. And we always do have that choice in any given moment, don't we?
We always have a choice. And I think that another challenge for people is to realize that they do have a choice, especially like we were talking about trauma. No, you didn't choose in that moment that, right? You didn't choose to be abused. However, now you can choose, do I stay stuck in that time warp, or even a conflict, in the present? Do I stay stuck with hanging on to whatever beliefs that are keeping me from resolving the conflict? Or do I choose to acknowledge that there's a conflict? Do I choose to find a solution? Do I choose to just walk away? Maybe I just need time. Maybe the solution is just walking away from the situation. But we always have a choice.
Always do. And I love that you mentioned earlier on about being more focused in the present, because I think a big challenge for most of us is that we do like to hang on to the hurts of our past, don't we? And go down the rabbit hole of negative thoughts on the focus of doing that.
You have the negative thoughts on this side, right? That's the past. Where a lot of the depressive thoughts come in and the rumination. But then you also have individuals that's on this other side that are stressing about the future. They're stressing about what they perceive the future may be, and I call that the scary movie in your head. It's a nightmare. You're planning over and over again how things are just going to go wrong, whatever that situation, the conversation isn't going to go right. Your job isn't going to go right. This relationship isn't going to go right. And it's going on and on and on and on. But it's in the moment where that quality of life is. I said, don't do that time travel thing that you do. Just time traveling to the past or time traveling to the future. Stay right here in the moment, because the present is where the gift is.
Absolutely. And also the present is all we have, isn't it? We don't have the past anymore. That's gone. The future still always be the future, and it'll always just be ahead of us, because today was tomorrow's future.
Mm-hmm. There is no past. And sometimes I get in the beginning, you mean to tell me this didn't happen to me? No, I didn't say it didn't happen to you, but it doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. And you can choose to believe that. If I still believe that about my abuse at 12, I will not be here to have this interview with you on the podcast, because I'd still be playing that over and over again in my head. I don't even see myself as that person anymore. Now, I still can recollect some of it, especially basically when I'm talking to someone about it, but it's almost so far removed from me because I don't identify anymore as a victim. My taglines is I transform victims into victors. We were victimized, but we don't have to live a victim. No,
actually, no. And it's about putting the responsibility for that onto the person that, if you are somebody that has been hurt, abused, or assaulted on the back of or at the hands of somebody else, then it's knowing that, put that onus on them, not on yourself.
Yeah, you don't take responsibility for something that you didn't do, and that's a part of overcoming that trauma, because people do. It's like, I must have did something. That's why I'm not good enough. I must have did something to make this person do this to me. No, with the exception of just being a very beautiful creature, you didn't do anything at all to warrant that, right? You can't be responsible for the fact that they saw your beauty and wanted to take advantage of that. And the more you realize how beautiful creature, human being that you are, the less you'll focus on how someone in whatever state of mind they were in, decided to try to take advantage of that at that time.
Yeah, I love that you just said that. And it is also about reframing those events, isn't it? So if we have been through sort of negative events and experiences in our past, it's actually, taking what were the positives from that? How has that changed you into a wiser, more capable, more independent, more compassionate person, for example?
I love it. Yes. Yes. So many times we focus on just the negative. No, it's not great that this person did this thing to you, but we are like such amazing creatures. Like, we can overcome so many different things, and many people do not really focus on all the things that they were able to become in spite of, not because of, but in spite of those situations. And so in spite of the things that I experienced, in spite of the way that I used to talk about myself and all those things, I've developed the skill set so I can work with people with similar challenges. And so I like to look at it like this. I'm thankful to the universe that I had those experiences, because it has helped me to become the person that I am. It has helped me to see how strong and how resilient I am, right? I don't look at it anymore as it was something wrong about me that caused those things. If anything, like the universe gave it to me because it knew I could handle it.
Yeah, I actually do as well think, about my past experiences and think of it more as a gift for being who I am today rather than in a negative way now, because it isn't about forgiving any perpetrator. It is about, for I suppose that forgiveness is for yourself, knowing that you did nothing wrong in that or those situations, and you can let go of the pain and the trauma because that isn't serving you anymore.
Yeah. Forgiveness is just a word. So yes, forgiving yourself. But the challenge for many people in terms of the perpetrator is, let's just, for the sake of argument, let's make sure we're on the same page when we talk about forgiveness, because it's a word. So let's just say forgiveness is letting go. Okay. And the challenge is the person thinks, a person may think, well, if I forgive, i.e., let go, then I'm condoning the behavior. No, when you forgive and you're saying you were wrong, that was wrong what you did. And I'm choosing to let go of the power that you stole from me.
Yes, 100%. I'm glad you clarified that in the way that you did. That was brilliant.
Right? Because it's the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. So yes, I forgave and I let go, but it doesn't mean I have to be in relationship. That's what reconciliation is.
Yeah. And also, like you said, most importantly, it's not about, forgiving because you're now, condoning that behavior. Of course, you don't condone that behavior, but you can forgive the person, but let go and still live a very, very powerfully successful life by forgiving yourself for, I suppose, for me, it was about forgiving myself for hanging on to that pain for far too long, and letting that perpetrator have that power over me.
Yes. And another thing that I found, the hanging on, is that some people have lived with their trauma for so long, they feel like if they let go, they won't have anything else. They don't have that story. And think about this. So if I'm hanging on to this so tight, there's nothing else that can get in. But if I let that go, now I've opened the door for something else, something beautiful possibly. So if I'm hanging on to trauma, we were talking about, started talking about intimacy. If I'm hanging on to this so much, this past thing, I can't connect with other people. I can't be intimate with other people because this is blocking me. But I open this up, and you don't have to, if the word forgiveness, I don't want people to get stuck on word. If the word forgiveness, if that's a stomping block, that's why I threw in the word letting go. If letting go is the word that you need in order to open you up to more beautiful experiences, then use the synonym and let's move on to that quality of life that you deserve.
Absolutely. And you know what? It really does open up a whole new, better, more fulfilling, more passionate, more alive type life once you do that. And it's liberating, isn't it?
It is. I'll tell you in the beginning, it's a bit uncomfortable because it's like, what? I can't, some people may feel like they can't trust people, or they feel like this and feel like, I said, it's not people that you can't trust. It's you that you're having a difficult time trusting. And just know, if you made it this far in life, then you can trust yourself to get through, to be able to connect in these new experiences. Just be patient with yourself.
So what, Danita, for you was the turning point? What happened? What would you say was a life-changing moment for you that sort of set you up for the life that you now have?
There's an array of experiences, but I will say over the last 4 years, really stepped full-fledged into entrepreneurship. You just encounter, and with me traveling, you encounter a lot of different people. And you see people at different levels, as they say. And I made the commitment when I left the workforce to work for myself that I would no longer work for anyone else. Well, that requires a lot of development to be able to.
That's very brave, yeah.
You know what I mean? But even in the workplace, even in business, those past traumatic conversations come up. Man, can I do this? Man, so I really had to spend time with myself. And then when I leave the business, then I come home and try to build relationships. And in this 4 years time, I went through my second divorce. And so I had to start asking myself, D, okay, the common denominator here is you. What is going on? And so what I realized is that I say this in one of my books, I was literally partnering down, is what I said. I was partnering with people who would abuse me. I was partnering with people who would abandon me. I was partnering with irresponsible people because that's where I was comfortable at. And I wasn't doing this knowingly. It's after I was doing a personal, got more consistent and discipline in my personal development, that I realized this pattern of behavior of the people that I was attracting. And so I did what I call start dating myself. Like, would I date me?
Love that.
And in that journey, I realized, no, I wouldn't date me, not for a long period of time, not because I wasn't a loving person, but I too had a toxic individual as a result in so many toxic situations. So I had to really start developing different skills in not just partner relationships, but in all relationships, once I was aware that this pattern was showing up across the board.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences, Danita. It's been fascinating. So thank you. And would you be able to show what is your best contact information for our audience if they'd like to connect with you?
On Instagram, you can find me at follow Dr. D. That's follow DRD with 3 E's on Instagram. I place motivational video there on mental health, everything dealing mental on Instagram.
Thank you. And any final words of advice for the audience before we wrap up this episode?
You deserve your best quality of life.
Thank you. And I'm going to second that. You all deserve your best quality of life, and it is out there for you if we look in. So be your best personal friend to you. Thank you very much, Dr. D. It's been a real pleasure to have you on as a guest today.
Thank you for having me, Lyn. I appreciate it.
So with that said, I'm going to leave you with true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.